Welcome, NBA Tip-Off Show for this Tuesday, November the 19th, and the Cup returns. All 6 games tonight are Cup plays, playoff games, in-season tournament games, I guess, is exactly the proper pronunciation. But we will break them down. Rob Vino, myself, Steve Merrill, filled in for Joe Ranieri. Don't you worry, he will be back. And if you all behave, we might get a little bit of a Ski Profit sighting if he's able to squeeze in today as well. But, Rob, let's get to it. We're going to run down all 6 games. We'll go down in schedule order as they appear on the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'll get your take on each of these. I'll chime in as well. And don't have to wait long for what I would say is maybe the biggest game of the season, Rob Vino. This is the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers. What are they, 15-0 now? Against probably the best team in the NBA, Boston Celtics. And the odds are definitely saying that this line opened 3.5. It's now up to 5.5. Even some 6 is starting to show. So on the surface, Rob, Cleveland should get their first loss of the season. But then again, you can take the best team in the NBA right now, undefeated, getting almost 5.5, 6 points is tempting as well. What are you doing with this game tonight? And by the way, the total is on the move. I saw it as low as 229.5 up to 235.5, 236. So movement on the Celtics, an even bigger move to the over in this one.
Yeah, and there's been a push, Steve, within the last 30 minutes before we came on air here to do this show towards the overs. So it was, it stretched out early, a lot of over money, little buyback, and now back to where it was maybe earlier this morning. I actually did a single game video on this particular game. You can find that on WagerTalk TV. I'll be a little more brief here than I was there. If you want the full analysis, go ahead there. That analysis also is available in written content on my homepage. It's the free play up for today. Cup game, right, Steve? I don't know. Boston lost their first Cup game right here on this floor, 117-116 to the Hawks last week. Game they probably should have won. Motivation on both sides here. Certainly Boston has made it clear that they want to be the first team to knock off Cleveland's undefeated season. And Cleveland's been vocal about wanting a little bit of playoff revenge from last year's playoff series where Cleveland was not healthy at all. Donovan Mitchell missed a couple of those games. I think Jared Allen was hurt for a couple of those games. So they're at full health now. And as I've mentioned before on Tip-Off, it's a team that really likes each other. I mean, these quotes about camaraderie and cohesiveness, and Kenny Atkinson, the new head coach, talking about how great it is to coach this squad. So I think we got a great game here. You got 2 of the highest scoring teams in the league. If you look at first half and first quarter, if you just wanted to narrow it down, they're both the 2 highest scoring teams in both of those categories this season. They're the 2 highest first quarter scoring teams. They're the 2 highest first half scoring teams. A lot of indicators here would point toward over. You get a couple of good matchups here. Boston's a real high volume 3-point shooting team. Cleveland doesn't defend the 3 well. Cleveland's real good inside the paint. Boston doesn't defend the paint real well. So it's an interesting matchup, which probably does get some points here, Steve. I think there's multiple options. If you like first quarter over, couldn't argue you. First half over, couldn't argue you. Full game obviously is being bet heavy right now. Any type of team total. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fast-paced game. Boston, for what it's worth, real quick here, has had some bit of trouble with fast-paced teams. And Cleveland ranks 7 in the NBA in tempo right now.
Yeah, this is a big one. It's on TNT at 7 Eastern. 15-0 Cavs against the 11-3 Celtics. And both side and total have been on the move. And it's interesting, Rob, Jesse Shule was on earlier today on WagerTalk Today, and he said some of his initial research, we don't have a huge sample size, and it is a little tricky to go back and figure out which one were Cup games from the previous year. But he said they've been a little higher scoring, he thinks, than average. And you look, I think 4 of these 6 games, we've seen money coming on the under, actually, but this is not one of them. This total has definitely been pushed higher here tonight at 7 Eastern. Next game on the board is at 7:40 Eastern, Charlotte and Brooklyn. A little bit of a step down in class here in this game. What are you doing with this one? We've seen this line go from 1.5 to 3, although some spots open 3. Nothing. Once again, one thing great about the WagerTalk Live odds is you can click on the openers tab. So don't just use the consensus opener, because on this one, the total was 224, it says, and now it's 221. But if you look, a lot of other books open around that 222 range, so we haven't necessarily seen that much money with the under. But a little bit of move under, a little bit of move towards Brooklyn at home here against Charlotte. What are your thoughts on this one, Rob Vino?
Well, I think immediately you go right to Brooklyn first half. It's been a can't-miss wager so far this season. I think Brooklyn, they're in the vicinity of 10-1 against the spread first half. I believe they lost the first game to the Knicks in that little back-to-back. They played 3-day back-to-back. And then they came back and covered the second one as plus 5.5 the other night. They lost 60-57 the first half, but certainly covered the 5.5. So first stop would obviously be just knee-jerk mechanical reaction to Brooklyn first half. You're going to lay 1.5 in that spot. I'm not sure that I could trust Brooklyn full game here in a game where, the sides are pretty comparable. Charlotte certainly can fill it up. They started this season on this quest under their new head coach to be more defensive minded and more of a 3-point shooting team. The defensive minded stuff has really gone out the window here, Steve. So you got a couple of, I would call them small ball type teams going up against one another. You're always fearful if you're, well, I won't say fearful, but you're always cognizant of the fact that those types of games can get over the number. I didn't play this one, but I think that if you had to play it, it's pretty simple play. Until you lose trying it, I would go ahead and play Brooklyn first half over the total. Like I say, 10-1, I think, is the number right now. And certainly if they get another 10-1, you'll make a lot of money just following that trend blindly.
Yeah, once again, put it in perspective of the game right here. The total is 221 for the game, 113.5 for the first half total. So a little bit higher, but then again, we see that in a lot of NBA games. It's unlike college basketball where the second half is always higher than the first half. A lot of NBA games do have more points in the first half. It's just a different beast than it is in college hoops. Rob, the next game, 8 o'clock Eastern, Denver and Memphis. And this one is interesting because Memphis remains extremely banged up. John Moran out still. We've seen them play better over years without Moran at times. Zach Edey, the big man for Purdue, he is not playing. We'll see how his NBA career goes. I was very curious to see how he does the next couple of years in the NBA. You got to wonder if he's going to be one of those big guys that's just never healthy. But Memphis plays shorthanded, and they always seem to do it fairly well. And in this situation now, they are a 3.5 point favorite right now against Denver at home in the first half alone. And then for the full game, it's now 5.5, 6 with a total of about 224.5. So definitely some injuries to talk about in this game.
Yeah, Denver's going to hold Nikola Jokic out again. He didn't play the other day. This is the second of, again, one of those like 3-day back-to-backs played here in Memphis. They played on Sunday. Memphis wins by 15, 105-90. And, Jokic's status was up in the air until about 90 minutes, a couple hours ago. And then the Memphis number took off to where it is right now, -6. Where Cup game is concerned, Steve, it seems pretty obvious now that Memphis cares more than Denver does about winning these Cup games. Some teams really care in season tournaments. Some teams could care less. I mean, for a lot of these squads in the NBA, it will be their only opportunity to lift a trophy this year. For some that think they have an opportunity to lift the big trophy, then maybe they put it aside. It seems to be the attitude taken by Denver here. At first glance, you might want to take a shot at a Denver bounce back after getting beat by 15 by this team. But again, with no Jokic, it's hard to recommend that side. And for what it's worth, Memphis has gotten a few players back since they were really beat up. Desmond Bane's been back a couple of games now. They've got Marcus Smart back at this point in time. So Morant's the big gun really missing. And he wasn't on the floor the other day. As you mentioned, Steve, a lot of times Memphis has learned how to play without their star due to suspension or injury or whatever. And they seem to know how to do it. So I think, the price has gotten high at 6, but again, they just won by 15 the other night. So for me, it would have to be a recommendation on Memphis in some way, shape, or form, or not at all. We talked earlier real quick about the two highest scoring teams in the first half, the first quarter. The team that sits number 3 behind Cleveland and Boston is Memphis. They're the third highest first quarter scoring team. They're the third highest first half team. Maybe something in that realm, shortening the game up. If you don't want to lay 6 for the full game would be a good way to go.
Yeah, full game is 224.5 for the total. First half, 114.5, which makes the second half projected at 110. So another situation here where they've priced that first half a couple baskets more than the full game. That's something, as Rob said, has been working for Memphis. And by the way, the Nuggets, first 2 games went under this year. They then went over in their next 8 games. But the last 2 games, they have struggled mightily with just 94 and 90 points. They both have stayed under against the Pelicans and Grizzlies. So we'll see if that trend is starting to turn again as far as the Denver over-under. Once again, no Aaron Gordon, no Jokic tonight. They are shorthanded as well, just like the Grizzlies, but a little more shorthanded with some big-name players. All right, we're halfway through. 3 of the 6 cup games down, 3 more to go. Also here at 8:40 Eastern now, we've got Pelicans and Mavericks. Dallas, the biggest favorite on the board tonight, opened as low as 10.5. It's now up to 13 at home against New Orleans. Total has dropped a bit from 225 down to 223, Rob. And, of course, no Zion. C.J. McCollum out. But you've talked about this Pelicans team. Ingram is the key guy, and I don't see him listed on the injury report. But Doncic, though, is questionable for what it's worth, but this line is still going higher to minus 13.
Yeah, and the problem for New Orleans, Steve, is that you lose your 3 top ball handlers for this game, right? Jose Alvarado's not playing either. I know we talk a little bit about C.J. McCollum, but they're without 3 point guards or 3 ball handlers in this game. And then you add Zion to that list. We still don't know about Luka. We'll see. I don't think he played the other day, if memory serves me correct. Dallas should be in good shape to win this ball game by margin, Steve. New Orleans not necessarily that good from the offensive standpoint. Haven't played a lot of defense. Really haven't done a lot of anything good so far this year for Willie Green. Again, another season full of injuries for this team. So I think Dallas probably is in a good bounce back spot to win this game big. You have to win it big because they're laying 13. If you don't like that number, perhaps I would expect in this game Dallas to come out of the tunnel ready to play here, focused and motivated. So maybe 7.5 in the first half is more to your liking. But in no way, shape, or form could I recommend New Orleans at this point in time. Just a team that's in disarray. And if Dallas does, at the end of last year, and they did carry that over to this season, and they have in certain games, they began to play a lot of defense. And when they have both centers in the game are available to them, Lively and Gafford, they're a real good defensive team. You don't get much in the paint against them. So for New Orleans, I think the struggles on offense will be real. And for Dallas, seems like they could score against this D. So I would play Dallas or not at all.
You talk about a New Orleans team in disarray. They covered that first game against Chicago. They're actually favored by 5 back in the opener in October. They went 1-10, I believe, against the spread, the next 11. But they have covered back-to-back games here as a dog against Denver and the Lakers. So we'll see if things are starting to turn, but still a shorthanded squad. And a possible sandwich game here. We don't know for sure what the Denver situation will be coming up in a few days on Friday when Dallas goes to Denver. But we could have a situation where they just won outright as a 7-point dog at OKC and could be a dog at Denver Friday. And in between, they're laying 13 points here. So we'll look back and see if this is a sandwich spot or not. And by the way, Rob, I talked to Ronald Kabang about this on WagerTalk today. Cleveland about a 5.5-point dog. Theoretically, they should lose their first game of the season. I've said for a while now they could be a play against team after that first loss if they kind of exhale for a little bit. Guess who they have tomorrow back at home? New Orleans. So New Orleans will probably be a huge dog tomorrow, too, at Cleveland. Could be very interesting to see how the Cavs respond, win or lose, after that huge game in Boston tonight on Tuesday. So once again, something to keep an eye on in the advanced card later this week in the NBA. All right, let's keep rolling. The 4th of 6 games down. Let's go to the 5th game here. And this is an interesting game to talk about, too. Jesse Shule had a free player prop in this game. He also had one in the Memphis game, by the way. So if you want to get some props, check out WagerTalk today. It's safe. It was a Teddy free zone. It was just me and the Prez, and there was a good 5 to 7 minute segment about food at the end. So make sure you have a full belly before you watch the show. I got extremely hungry. Listen to Jesse and the Prez go back and forth on the food topic, but that, of course, is WagerTalk today. And Oklahoma City opened as low as 6.5, up to a 10-point, 9.5, 10-point road favorite now at San Antone, 220.5 up to 222. When we did the show at noon Eastern today, WagerTalk today, Wemby was already listed as doubtful. He had actually been downgraded to doubtful from questionable. Now I'm seeing him as out on the 3:30 Eastern NBA report. So not a surprise, Rob, that this line is going higher. But the total's gone a little higher, which you hardly ever see, right, when a superstar is out. And I guess that's because he's such a great defensive player. But he's pretty good offensively as well. Chet Holmgren out. I mentioned Edey is out. All these big guys can't stay healthy. What do you do with this game, though? Is this one of those we take 10 points, double-digit home dog with the fade the injury situation that's worked so well in the NBA, or do you not get in front of this Thunder squad that's playing really good basketball?
Well, it's I don't know that I could lay it with Oklahoma City, Steve, but I do think there are issues for the San Antonio side, including, missing Greg Popovich on the sidelines, right? I mean, they're
Yeah.
playing with Mitch Johnson as the head coach. It hasn't really been the same since Popovich has left the sideline due to his ailment. But you talked about the missing big guys. Holmgren on one side, Wembanyama on the other. That's a ton of rim protection to be without. And when Chet Holmgren went down for Oklahoma City about 4 games ago, they just had to make a concerted effort to adjust. And the adjustment, since they're so deep and so youthful, it was to become a quicker paced team again. And it showed up in a couple of games, and then it didn't show up in another couple. And I think it really depends on whether or not Oklahoma City, it's kind of a easy thing to say, but when you go through the numbers, it's very true here. They're getting possessions, but they have to make shots. Question would be, will they make shots against San Antonio? If they do, this game's going to be played at a pretty rapid pace. San Antonio has a bunch of their players back, albeit without Victor Wembanyama here, and they're capable of scoring as well. I'm going to read you one quote here that came from Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder, who said, "We're not just trying to survive this stretch. We're going out there to win every game. Obviously, we want our bigs back and we want to be healthy, but we're not victims." And when he says bigs plural, it's because they're missing 3 of them right now. So again, the rim is open to any penetration in this game. Both teams have guards that can do so. I wouldn't be opposed to playing this one over. It looks like a pretty fast-paced game where, like I say, teams should be able to get into the lane. Oklahoma City, as we know, very good with steals and getting out on the break. They get a lot of cheap points in games like this.
Yeah, Rob, I was going to bring that up as well. I mean, you feel like you're looking at a really good college basketball pressure team when you look at the turnovers for and against for this OKC team. It's not something that you see anymore in pro basketball. Just the last 3 games, OKC's had only 5, 6, and 10 turnovers. But in 3 of their last 4, they first forced 23, 23, 16, and 14. I mean, it's just crazy what they do. And, you look when these teams played back on October 30th, a couple of weeks ago, Spurs had 22 turnovers on the road. OKC only had 10. Now, that was at OKC. So we'll see if they can take care of the ball. But I like where you're going with the over there. And once again, very rarely do you see a superstar out and the total go higher. But that's what we have here with this line going from 20 up to 222.5. So the betting markets also agree with the over in this game tonight in San Antonio. All right, one final game. This is your late night special at 10:40 Eastern. Utah against the Lakers. And, a couple years ago, Rob,
What happened?
And they've been really good at home this year, a little suspect on the road, to say the least. But then, of course, last year the Warriors became a good road team. So you got to be careful reading too much into these home-road dichotomies. But so far, the Lakers this year are perfect 6-0 at home. And I believe they were, 3-4 on the road. Then, of course, Utah always has a home court that's strong with the altitude and the thin air. So far this year, they're 5-1 at home, just 2-5 away. So we'll see how this plays out tonight. But a pretty home-road dichotomy, strong tendency for both teams. Do the Lakers deserve to be an 11-point favorite, though? We know they took the Cup serious last year. I guess the betting markets think they're doing so again. And by the way, the total's gone up a bit from 230 up to 235. So we've seen a lot of money on the over.
Yeah, I think that I'll say second to last point that you made there, Steve, about the Lakers caring. I think they do. Defending, for what it's worth, they're the defending in-season tournament champs. And we saw how much it meant to LeBron last year. It's almost like the team realized they couldn't win it all, so let's go win something in season. They did so. Now they're defending it. They came out very strong in the first game. Wouldn't be surprised if they came out strong here in the second game. With Utah, it's a one-way ticket. And obviously, they're all offense, no defense. And when they're on, they can score a lot of points. And the way the Lakers have played defense recently, you would expect Utah to score. So I fully agree with those who have moved this total up. They've moved it quite a bit, as you mentioned, up to 235.5. Utah I think they've allowed 120 plus in 7 of their last 10. Lakers team total here, I think I saw 123.5. So obviously a game where Utah should be able to score, a game where the Lakers do care. They should be able to score. Couldn't argue against the money here where the total's concerned. It's a lot, though, to lay with the Lakers the way they're playing defense. As much as they may want to win, it's a lot of points to lay with the way they've been playing defense.
Yeah, so the home team in all Laker games is 10-3. If I'm doing the math here, I believe the home team in all the Jazz games are also 10-3. So that's a 20-6 angle. And I'm not a big money line parlay guy, but I know people like to have fun with it. Lakers minus 550 money line. It probably wouldn't be the worst piece to tie up in a 2 or 3 team, big money line parlay tonight, especially like you said, they look like they want to win. And hey, LeBron can win a championship with Bronny, right? So maybe this is his best chance to do so. And you look at the injury report, Anthony Davis probable, which is basically just set in ink every night. But LeBron isn't even on the injury report once again. He's had a monster start to the season. What was it? 3 straight triple doubles, oldest player to ever have 2, and then he had a third right after that. But Bronny is doubtful, so he with a heel contusion still, so he probably will not be in the lineup tonight, for what it's worth. But yeah, I think you're right. It looks like the Lakers are taking this serious once again this season after winning it last year against Andy Lang's Indiana Pacers. All right, that'll do it. Ski Prophet is stuck in a casino. He was actually recording an IG Instagram, so we can enjoy that afterwards. So be sure to check out IG. You find a lot of us over 50 on IG. Reluctantly, we're there. I think Rob's there now as well. I actually did Rob a fun video with a $5 bill. So I'll tease it. Nice. Check out IG at Steve Merrill. 2 R's, 1 L. You know the deal. Same with X on Twitter. And Rob, it is $5 Tuesday, though. So let the fine folks know what you've got going on tonight at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, we came in here on $5 Tuesday, Steve, with a play from Maction. Mac Tuesday night football action. 4% best bet. Up and available right now at WagerTalk.com. You can see my homepage listed there, wt.buzz/RV. So that is up and available, as are 2 NBA plays. And again, for those who are interested in seeing the full video analysis of that Cleveland-Boston game, it is over at WagerTalk TV, where I know the analysts, the crew of us as analysts, Steve, do a whole bunch of single game videos. So it's a good resource for anybody who wants to go over there and get some info on a game they might be interested in.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. In fact, I've got a Tuesday night MAC game clipped up there right now, and I just recorded a game for tomorrow night. Huge game in the MAC between Ohio and Toledo, and also the Thursday night NFL game, Steelers-Browns. I've gone 8-1 this year on those free Thursday night videos, so the pressure is on to make it 9-1. Yet another reason to click subscribe, click the bell. And when you do so, you'll get an instant alert when Rob Vino's free play videos are up, where mine, Steve Merrill's are up, and everybody else when we post, and also when these shows go live so that you can watch along with us. And I just realized as the host, I did not have the live chat up. So I apologize for everybody in the live chat. But we covered every game, Rob, so I didn't feel like we necessarily had to pick and choose. So it kind of worked out as we gave you all 6 cup games. But we do appreciate those in the live chat, but more so, watch the replays and comment below, because we read the comments and we reply back. And once again, if you want more free play videos, thumbs up, like, smash that like button on these shows and on the videos, and we will keep them coming. Check out Rob's best bet. He's got some action for you on Tuesday night, and I've got a $5 NBA best bet, and that's an instant 80% discount off the normal rate, because once again, it is $5 Tuesday. Every capper has a $5 best bet, and you're not limited to just one. You can get 5 of them for the price of one. So check out Rob Vino. Check out my strong NBA best bet tonight. We cashed last night. We're number 1 all-time in the NBA, and I'm up over 200 units the last 3 years alone. So not a bad night to try my NBA, because it's just $5 right now at WagerTalk.com. On behalf of Joe Ranieri, he'll be back on Thursday and Friday. There'll be more NBA tip-off show, at least on Friday. I think we have a Thursday episode as well. We also got college hoops Thursday and Friday. And don't forget, Brian Leonard, myself, and Joe just did the college basketball show here for Tuesday. Broke down a ton of games there. So once again, check out the replay here on Wager Talk TV. In the meantime, enjoy Wednesday night's action tomorrow, because this is Tuesday. I am already confused. I did Wager Talk today. Teddy will be back tomorrow, but I'm not confused about Thursday and Friday. It'll be Prez free. But Wednesday is busy here. Bet on it tomorrow on Wednesday, Wager Talk today, and then we're back Thursday and Friday with more basketball content for you. So click subscribe, comment below, and hit that bell for instant alerts. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you again soon here on Wager Talk TV.